Well, hello again. I thought I'd just bring you up to speed on my current project. So what we're building here is the Kinetic Kefir C1 in 48 scale. This was released probably getting on a year ago now, and it's the Kefir C1 stroke F-21A Lion, the F-21A being the United States designation for the aircraft. From 1985 to about 1989, the US Navy and Marines flew these aircraft as adversaries as part of the adversary program in the States. The US Air Force equivalent is aggressors, but these are always called adversaries in the US Navy, not aggressors. So I've been building the kit for the last week or so, got it all together. The Kinetic kit is generally, it's a pretty good kit. It's a little bit of older kinetic technology. Some of the panel lines are a little bit soft. Overall, I don't really rate the model as highly as the AMK kit, although it is more accurate. The moulding isn't quite as good, it isn't as sharp. But that aside, it still builds up well, as you can see here. So I've built it. All the joins and stuff have been dealt with. I've done stuff like painted the wheel wells and masked them off. The canopy's all masked, and so the air intakes, air brakes are tacked in place with glue tack. So we're basically ready to start painting. Now the scheme I've chosen for this, the schemes that come in the kit, as you can see, there's some Israeli. There's a couple of Israeli variants, including the ones with the yellow, orange and black ID triangles. And then you get a US Marines adversary aircraft. In the original scheme these aircraft were delivered in, which is 36307, 36251 and 35237. They're all kind of known as aggressor greys. This is a scheme the aircraft was delivered in, although subsequently some of the other deliveries had different schemes, and some of the schemes were modified slightly over the years. So I've got the, obviously the kit comes with this, and this is the decal sheet that comes with the kit. It's a beautifully done decal sheet, with options for, like I say, a few Israeli ones, and the adversary, US Marines adversary. It's printed by Cartograph, so you know the design is, you know, the actual quality of the decals will be as good as any. And the design's done by Isradecal, which means that certainly the markings for the Israeli one are accurate. Now I have got the Furball Aero Designs Lion Cubs sheet, which has markings for 4 different aircraft on it. We've got the, at the top here, we've got the original aggressor scheme, a couple of brown and green ones, a slightly darker one, and the pale Israeli scheme. And at the bottom there's kind of a modified ghost scheme, which uses just 2 of the colours from the original scheme, the 36307 and the 35237 blue-grey are the only 2 colours used on this one. As you can see, the actual decal sheet is a little bit smaller than the kit sheet, but it's again, this is printed by Cartograph, same as the kit sheet. And it's superbly done. You can't really fault it. There's enough markings on here to do 2 complete aircraft if you include all the stencils and stuff. Now I want to do an original scheme one, and I'd also like to do a US Marines one, which means that we have to default back to the kit one really, because the kit one is a US Marines in the original scheme, whereas the original scheme one and the Furball Aero design is a Navy one rather than a Marine one. So I'm probably going to be using the majority of decals from the kit's decal sheet, and I'll put these aside for a future project. So that's where we are in terms of decal options and stuff. As I said just now, the kit's been assembled and it's been primed with some Tamiya fine surface primer, and we're ready to start painting. Now, in general terms, these colours are available from numerous sources, but in this instance, because I didn't have all the colours readily to hand from Mr. Colour, which I would prefer to use, what I've done is I've sat down for a while with some pots of Tamiya paint, and I've worked out the mixes I need, which I'll try and remember for you and put them up somewhere at some point. But anyway, the 36307 is medium grey XF20, to which I've added a fair bit of white, and it's just given it that. This is quite a warm. It's almost got a sandy hue to it, this paint. So it's got, like I say, I spent a while mixing these colours and getting them close to what I thought was accurate. And so with that done, we're basically ready to paint. So I know that my airbrush is clean because I was using it less than an hour ago, so what I'm just going to do is add about half a cupful of that in there. I'm going to use Mr. Colour levelling thinner, which has what I use for most Japanese lacquers and acrylics is Mr. Colour levelling thinner. Just give it a stir around with that brush to give it, and like I said, hopefully you can see that it's quite it's grey, but it's got a definite sort of tanny, buff sort of hint to it. So I'm just going to put the lid on, and then we'll check the pressures, see where we are with the pressures. And I've immediately got a really good flow through there, so I'm just going to doesn't need to be high pressure. Now, what I would normally do with this kind of scheme is I'd paint the entire model 36307, and then I'd go on to paint the other colours. But in this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try a different method in which I'm just going to paint sort of roughly the areas which will remain 36307. The primer coat is a really good, a good sort of neutral grey, so that should mean that this covers really effectively. I'm just checking, I could see there was a tiny little bit of roughness on there. So we've got the instructions here to follow, the paint instructions. So all I'm going to do is work around the model following the paint instructions to roughly, and it really is rough, don't lose any sleep over trying to make this too precise at all. Like I said, it's had a coat of Tamiya's fine surface primer, so this means that it really won't require very much of a top coat at all, and that is basically that on and as opaque as I need it to be. So I'll move on to the other wing now. Let's just put that out of the way so I stop getting blown around by my airbrush. So I'm just going to move on to the other wing, and I can let's just check that. Okay, so Right, so there's the basic camouflage on. There's one or two touch-ups that need to be done. Particularly, there's an area here, which you can quite clearly see I haven't painted. But this is going to be the work of minutes to quickly do a little bit of masking and spray that. But hopefully that gives you some idea of how the blue tack masking system works and the results you can get with it. I really like the results you get for it, specifically or especially on 48th and smaller aircraft, 48th and 72nd. I think it gives a really nice scale look to the camouflage, which is got a very, very fine overspray zone. So other things we can do, I masked off the intake bullets with some blue tack prior to starting to spray, so let's just pop that out, because I don't think I'll be going near those areas again, hopefully not anyway. A little bit of masking tape there as well. So you can see how the camouflage is starting to come together. So what I'm going to do next is I will just be doing some touch-up work around the airframe, and then we can start a bit more airbrush weathering. And looking at photos, these aircraft got quite weathered quite quickly. I've got the undercarriage bays masked off here. I'm just going to have a check. See, there's a little bit more touching up there where some of the masking tape is. In fact, it's all around here. So there's a little bit more is going to need to be done, particularly around the nose wheel bay there, which I hope you can see. But really, we're making good progress on this. So that'll be all the weathering and the touch-ups and some fading and stuff, and then we'll be ready to give it a gloss coat, and then we can move on to detail painting. So I will see you probably the next time you see this. I'll either show you a bit of the weathering as it's in progress, or the next time you see it will be glossed and we'll be ready to proceed with some of the detail work. So I will see you then.